Diamond League circuit. It is the regular season circuit that is used in track and field, where athletes from near and far gather together to compete on some of the biggest stages around the world. But I pose a question to you that I want you to think about, and I want you to respond, and that we're going to talk about. Are there too many Diamond League races? And if there are, should we shrink them, and why? I'm going to take about 5 minutes to answer this quick, fast, in a hurry on this episode of Track Talk. So the Diamond League happens every year, and it is pretty much, for those who are not familiar, it is a 14 to 15 meet season. And so it is primarily the regular season where athletes near and far gather together and they go to various meets around the world and they compete. And so when you win the competition or whether you place, you get points. Those points help to boost your ranking so that you qualify for the Diamond League final, which is the last meet of the season. That is usually 2 days. This past season, it was held at the Nike Prefontaine Classic out in Eugene, Oregon. So why are we talking about this? The Diamond League series, isn't it good? Isn't that what track and field is looking for? Not quite. Here's my gripe with the Diamond League. I think it's awesome, but there's a few nuances at play that I want you all to think about that we're going to talk about right now. The Diamond League is cool, but it's not an open invitation, which is fine. You want the best of the best, but is it really feasible from the standpoint of, is it benefiting the athletes? Yes and no. Yes, it gives you a place to run, it gives you a place to compete, and the best of the best can compete. No, because look at the prize money. The prize money is only $10,000 for the most part. If not, it may vary depending on if you win, the records you break, whatever the case might be. So you're traveling near and far. So 1 minute you could be in Eugene, Oregon for the Nike Prefontaine Classic competing. 3 days later, you can be over in Doha, Qatar, competing in the Doha Diamond League meet. Granted, the days and the meets are a little different when it comes to the timing, but you get what I'm trying to say. So from a financial incentive, to me, it's really not enticing to athletes, especially when you think about the winner of the Diamond League Championship gets $30,000. $30,000. You're competing thousands and thousands of miles week in and week out to only get a check for $30,000. Granted, you're not getting all of the $30,000 because there are fees that have to be paid. There are taxes that have to be paid. Your coach has to be paid. Your flights have to be paid for. So from a financial incentive, there's an issue with it. Another thing I want you to consider, look at how fast these meets are happening. So, for example, the World Championships in Budapest ended on August 27th. A few days later, athletes had to fly over to Zurich for a meet on August 31st. That's not really vibing with me. Part of the problem is there's not a good turnaround because all the athletes have poured everything they've had into those World Championships. So what's the incentive to go to Zurich 4 days later instead of really digesting the accomplishment and what you've done? Now, I know contracts, they have obligations, the athletes do, to fulfill those contracts to run the Diamond League meets. But it's a very fast turnaround, and in some cases, it could hurt the athletes because they can get hurt. Again, not a big financial incentive to do so. Another thing about it, we're talking about the fast pace of these meets, and that brings me to my next point. Look at the Diamond League series. Look at how they're promoting it. The promotion is that the Diamond League Championship is the last meet of the season. I think that's a terrible idea. You know why? The Prefontaine Classic was great. We saw multiple world records. We saw incredible performances. The champions showed up and showed out. But some of those athletes, and by some, a lot of those athletes, were tired. Almost all of those athletes were exhausted from a long season. Even the average track fan, as much as we love track and field, you're not going to get the same thrill for the Diamond League final that you would the World Championships or the Olympics. You see it all the time. So for me, we have to reset. We have to figure out how to increase the viewership, first of all, by funding it more, but also, listen, if you want the Diamond League to shine, they can't compete with the World Championship because track and field is trying to grow and be like other sports. But the problem is the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, various sports, the top sports, everything you watch, guess what's the last meet of the season? The championship meet, the big championship meet. Currently, as I am recording this, the World Series is taking place. The NBA Finals, that is the last series, championship series of the season, of the calendar season. The NHL, the Stanley Cup Finals. The NFL, the Super Bowl, so on and so forth. Track and field, sure, we have the World Championships, but sometimes that's a little different. For example, you have the World Championships take place a little earlier last year in 2022 when it was held in Eugene, Oregon. Well, the track season didn't feel necessarily done in July, but I think it's safe to say a little bit of the thrill was gone because of the amazing performances that we saw in Eugene. So athletes have to refocus, reset, travel more to get focused again to race, and then you have to try to promote that to the fans. But in general, you're not getting the same thrill unless world records are broken and there's more access to the World Championships when it comes to viewership than there is a Diamond League where you will have to pay, or you watch it on Peacock, or if you can catch it on television. So there are some nuances that I feel like we have to change. For example, I think we should shrink the Diamond League circuit. We should open things up for other athletes to have sub meets. So maybe you don't qualify for a Diamond League meet. Okay, cool. There are other opportunities to earn income in different meets like they already have. But obviously the main thing, increase the purse, increase the viewership. Make it fun to watch, but make it fun to run. Obviously that's a loaded thought. I understand that. Didn't mean to go in detail on it, but I want to know from you all. Tell me, are there too many Diamond League meets? And what would you change about the Diamond League circuit? Definitely want to hear from you all. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Until next time.